Hello, my name is Tina, and I want to share a dream experience I had recently. It was the end of November, and I was traveling in Europe, and I heard things and saw things. And so the first thing I heard was the name Teresa May, and then I saw a fancy strong pen, and it was very thick and just very fancy, and it had ink inside, and there was like a clear area where I could see the ink, and then something came down on it. I didn't see what came down on it, but it was like it came in screens, and suddenly the strong pen was broken, and there was ink leaking, and I heard the phrase, "We'll spot everyone." And then I woke up from the dream. I had this understanding about the dream. Nation dashed, fall, and destroyed. And of course, Teresa May is the Prime Minister of England. I don't know what she will have to do with anything. I haven't received any understanding about her. Maybe someone else has that piece of the puzzle. I did receive some more understanding, I believe, about this dream, what the ink might mean, when I was looking at other people's dreams the other day. And it's a 1968 prophecy from a 90-year-old Norwegian woman, and she was talking about, and she had this phrase within like this long prophecy that reminded me of the pen that I believe that will be the ink that will spot everyone. The poor countries will treat us as we did them. And then I will also post a link to a religious talk that I also believe is the moral of the story of this dream, which is basically that which we sow we shall reap. And the name of the talk, though, is "Are We Not All Beggars?" But basically it's kind of like when you have mercy on others, then God will have mercy on you and will help you in your time of need. And I'm not advocating socialism, because I don't believe that God advocates socialism. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I am saying much more, and a lot of times, like, we can only come to some of these understandings if we ask God ourselves. But for us to receive revelation ourselves, we have to be obeying the commandments. But when I was overseas traveling, I did receive an understanding that open borders is the answer for America, and that I have always known that America is God's country, and that's something that I've always been taught. And though socialism, like when my children were little, we struggled financially to provide, and so I used to think that the government helping with those things was the right answer, but I've come to understand that it's the people closest to the people that are struggling that need to be helping, because there's more accountability there, and that is God's will in those things. But we are very hard-hearted people, and even families refuse to help one another. They want you to go to the government. But there's a lot of problems with that in theory and practice. So, and if I was just to mention one, as an Army veteran, and having heard stories of people killing one another, and having friends die, we enforce our laws even unto death. Taking from others to give to another, and to enforce it unto death, is that something that you really want? And that's always the way that I look at it when it comes to socialism. There are a lot of ways that things have been twisted to sell to Americans, and that we have changed a lot of things in our society, and our society has become very corrupt. So I hope that you will not attack me for what I'm saying. I'm also not advocating automatic citizenship. I'm only saying open borders. And that's not even citizenship or socialism. They're entirely different, and it's funny to me that people make all of that the same. So that's all I wanted to really say with this one, but I have some more to say with another video about the movie Vice, and I would recommend everyone go see that. Like, that's more things that go on in our environment that is been words twisted to manipulate people, and you need to stop allowing yourself to be manipulated. And however, I believe that we can only do that if we obey the commandments, because it is so easy to have the blindfold over our eyes. Even God's servants, that can happen to them. It's only when we ask questions of God, or like when I was traveling and was overseas, did I realize how important it is to have open borders. I had asked those questions, but I had never had God answer those questions to me. But I wanted so badly to leave America, partly because of my experiences here, and I was struggling with a lot of things. My experience in the Army was not favorable, as well as my experience with my family, and so one of the ways I cope is to travel, and I'm also struggling to survive financially with just even paying for housing, and I'm on disability with the VA, so I have tried to work, but I have issues. And those issues have kept me from being able to work, and I get filled with a lot of anxiety that I feel like I am misplaced and don't have purpose, and I'm frustrated. So, it's not the way I envisioned my life, not the way I dream it. And so, like, I want to travel and see places and people. So being overseas was a good experience. It was a good education for sure. And I was able to see for the first time what it is like to be that person in a new country and to want to immigrate. Because I have wanted to immigrate. As much as I love America, there's a lot about America that I don't like, and a lot of it has to do with the way we treat one another, and that I feel like I can't financially survive, and I can't go to school. Like, I can't even get into a school. Like, I have a GI Bill and I can't even get into a school, and so it, like, intellectually, financially, spiritually, emotionally, like, I feel depleted, and even at this point, I don't have a home, and I just rent rooms, and I just go from place to place, and it's been like that for quite a while, and I struggle a lot with the way that I feel inside. So, but luckily God has given me an adventurous spirit, so once I get out the door, I tend to get excited and want to go new places, and usually it works out okay, unless I wish God could give me an itinerary, but He doesn't. So sometimes it ends up, I hit walls and disappointment and don't understand why. But I do believe that Americans are going to want to leave America because of destruction and war and troubles that are going to come here. And you're not going to be able to, because all the borders will be closed to you by the poor countries because of the way that we have treated them. And you don't even need to be asking for, maybe you won't even be asking for anything, but we will be hated. And that is what something else I understood in the dream, was that we will be hated in a new way, different than we have been all over the world for our warmongering. This is going to be a new kind of hatred. So maybe it's similar to the way that we have hated the immigrants that have come to our country. They fill up our hospitals and don't have money. And like, I know what that's like too, to end up somewhere in a country and not have a phone and not be able to access money. I had to come home. Because apparently people that run the banks in America never travel to Europe, nor do they use the phone over there. So I had to come home. But I couldn't access any money that I have, so I was having some problems. And you can't call collect from Europe. So, but I don't think it will be, because I think because American money will be worth nothing, and you will end up in these countries, you can't speak the language, and they won't allow you to work anyway because you'll be taking from their pool of citizens. So you'll be super desperate, and as selfish as most of us are, you'll probably just be doing crazy things. So, but if you have faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, things will be different for you, because He will direct you. That's what He always says. He says, do not fear. And He helps His servants. The only way for you to have His Spirit with you during these times is that you develop that ability to communicate with Him now. And so, and that's what I want to share with you now. Thanks.